Well, Zach Greinke couldn't wait to pitch tonight. The game starts a minute early, and he throws strike one to Felipe Lopez. And now a changeup is lifted into shallow left field. Bloomquist gives way to DeJesus. So 2 pitches, 1 out for Greinke in the first inning. And tonight's game is brought to you in high definition by Time Warner Cable, where HD is free with digital cable. Former Royal A.J. Hinch took over in mid-May when Bob Melvin was fired. Hitting coach Rick Shue was let go, and pitching coach Brian Price resigned. So quite a shakeup. Diamondbacks beginning the first month and a half with 1 staff and then 3 different members in the middle of May. 2-0 on Stephen Drew, moves up in the batting order. He hit 4th last night and was 0 for 4. He'll bat 2nd tonight. And Zach drives it to center. Myers started back, but now corrects and makes a sliding play. 2 up, 2 down. And the rest of the Arizona lineup tonight presented by M&I Bank. So Drew moving up, Parra moving down, and changes with the number 8 and number 9 hitters. Chris Snyder will catch, and Josh Weitzel is at first base. And now Justin Upton. He was also hitless last night with a strikeout. 0-1 from Greinke. Zach is facing the Diamondbacks for the 3rd time in his career. He has had 1 terrific start and 1 awful start against Arizona. Both of those in Phoenix. That's just fair inside the line. So Upton squibs it off the end of the bat. He has good speed. He's into second. And Chip Hale, third base coach, puts up the stop sign. So he'll stop at second base with a 2-out double.
Now Zach throws a curveball here, and Upton gets it right off the inside part of the bat, up by the hands, and been able to slice it right inside the right field line. That was an easy double for him.
Started early with a temperature of 90 degrees and muggy. Got up into the mid-90s earlier today in Kansas City. Time and temp brought to you by the Parking Spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The Parking Spot at KCI. So a runner at second, 2 down for Mark Reynolds. Back in 2005, when Zach had that 5-17 season, he pitched at Arizona, went 4 1/3 innings, and gave up 11 runs. That's a franchise record. He also hit his first major league home run in that game, and believe it or not, the Royals ended up winning that game, 12-11 in 10 innings.
Well, you can have those kind of games in Arizona, especially if the roof is open. The ball really flies. So if you don't go out and pitch down in the zone right and keep the ball on both sides of the plate, then it's going to be hard to keep teams from scoring in Arizona.
And then last year, 7 shutout innings for Zach, a no decision. The Royals ended up losing that game 1-0. Doug Davis started against Zach in that one. Just missed outside. It's 2-1 on Mark Reynolds, who leads the major leagues with 90 strikeouts. Last year he set a major league record with 204 strikeouts.
You know, if I struck out that many times, I wouldn't be able to sleep. You know, but he's got the ability. When he does hit the ball, he hits the ball, and but I think that there's got to be a way that he can figure out a way to cut down on those strikeouts. Now, you know, Zach is definitely loose right now, Ryan. Nice. The weather's heating up, and Zach's heating up. That's 97 miles an hour. He used to save that speed from when he was coming out of the bullpen as a closer.
Full count on Mark Reynolds. Zach with a no decision on Thursday at Cleveland. Charged with 3 runs in 7 1/3 innings. 2 of those runs scored after he left the game. And the Royals lost that game 4-3 in 10 innings. Still 3-2. Royals were in good position to win that game in Cleveland and take 2 out of 3. But you might remember that was the game where Royals made 2 errors on 1 play on what could have been an inning-ending double play. It was Joakim Soria's first blown save, and it ended with a base hit to center field off the bat of Shin Soo Choo against Kyle Farnsworth that deflected off of a seagull. Game.
I'm still wondering why the bird, how the bird ever got up to fly away. I mean, he went down so hard. I mean, I thought that sure he was going to be in bad shape, but some kind of way he just got up and got out of there.
Nasty slider puts away Reynolds for his 91st strikeout and Zach's 98th of the year. But he doesn't want one. He says if we get a chance at a home run ball, you're just going to get out of the way.
I'm just going to move.
All right. Well, we'll see what my skills are like.
I will give you all the glory, Ryan. You can have it.
Our intern Alex actually found a fan by the name of Bob Hagman who is willing to donate a left-handed glove for the game. Well, that's thank you to Bob. Trey Hillman found out before today's game that he is going to the All-Star game. He was selected by Rays manager Joe Madden to be part of the American League staff. So big honor for him. And was recognized before the game tonight. Got a nice ovation from the Royals faithful here.
You know, that is a big honor, Ryan. If you've never been to an All-Star game, that first one is always a lot of fun. You get to see all the guys from all the other ball clubs and interact with all the other managers, and it's fun. I mean, I've enjoyed every one of them that I've played in. I haven't had a desire to go to one that I'm not playing in, though. That's been the big difference.
Well, you wonder maybe he'll enjoy it a little more because there won't be the stress of playing the game. You don't want to embarrass yourself on national TV.
Right. He'll probably be a base coach, whether it be first or third, one or the other, but that's going to be real relaxed. That might be the most relaxing time you'll have in uniform.
De Jesus hits it hard to left, and Parra runs it down. So David with an 8-game hitting streak coming in tonight. Hits it hard but out. And up comes Willie Bloomquist against Max Scherzer, the Diamondbacks' first-round pick in 2006.
Well, Ryan, he's got an electric fastball. He can get it up to 98 miles an hour, and he uses two-seamer and four-seamer, and would go along with the slider and changeup. But no earned runs allowed in the last 2 starts. That's big right there. So that means the Royals are going to have their work cut out for him.
0-1 on Willie. 1 for 4 with a stolen base and a run scored last night. Going from center field last night to shortstop. And I brought this up last night, Frank. Used to be you had utility infielders, and you want to have at least one guy that can play shortstop. And you have utility outfielders, and you want to have at least one guy that can play center field. This guy can play shortstop and center field.
Well, you know what's amazing about this, Ryan, is that you have a guy you brought in to be that all-around guy, and he's been every bit that all-around guy. You also have 2 legitimate shortstops on your ball club, but he may be playing more at shortstop than your 2 legitimate shortstops.
Good point. On the corner, Scherzer gets that call. 2 down to the bottom of the first.
Well, this is one he wants up and on the outer half, and there it is right there. Pinpoint control right on the outside, unhittable.
Max Scherzer, 24 years old now. He is from St. Louis. He was drafted by the Cardinals out of high school in the late rounds. Went to MU. Was the Big 12 Pitcher of the Year his sophomore year. So that set him up for the draft in 06. And taken by the Diamondbacks. And 97 over the inside corner to Billy Butler. So he's not from this side of the state, but you figure those years at MU, he has plenty of friends and family here tonight. And a hard slider.
Yeah, it's got to be 50-50 on the fans. But, you know, I think he's throwing 97, but it almost looks effortless. You know, the ball is really just coming out of his hands free and easy. And that was a legitimate slider, Ryan. That thing only broke about 6 inches.
Hence the term sometimes an easy 97.
That's an easy 97. You know, I mean, you've seen Justin Verlander get up there, and when Zach was in the bullpen, he was around 97, 98 a lot. That's fast. That's real fast.
2-2 on Billy. A hit, a walk, and an RBI last night. Well, Scherzer has really cleaned up his mechanics. When he first got to the big league, some people thought he was too violent to be a starter, that he might be better suited to be a late inning reliever. But that's a pretty smooth motion in my book.
Well, I think when you look at the fastball slider aspect, you could say maybe he's got closing material down the road, but you throw a changeup in there and the pinpoint control and the fact that he maintains 97 as a starter, that's unbelievable right there.
And Billy takes a walk after falling behind in the count early. No balls, 2 strikes. 1 on, 2 out. And with more on Max Scherzer, here's Joel Goldberg.
Well, Ryan, I talked to Max yesterday, and he is from St. Louis, but his mom grew up here in Kansas City in Lee's Summit, Jan Shirk, so he's got a lot of family from that side. I remember Max from his St. Louis days. I covered him in high school basketball in 2003. Pretty good front court player on a team that went to state and lost in the semifinals to Raytown South, and then in the third place game to Tyler Hansborough and Poplar Bluff. But even back then, everybody knew this guy had the stuff to be a big league baseball player, guys.
And now Jacobs into right center. Thank you, Joel. Billy is going to go first to third. So the Royals putting a little 2-out rally together. Mike Jacobs, who had a couple of doubles last night and scored a run, has a first inning single, and the Royals have something going with Guillen coming up.
Well, the one thing about Mike Jacobs, we know he's real strong, and they're trying to pitch him in, and he's strong enough to get it out of the inside part. He didn't really get the good part of the bat on it, but he hit it in a good spot in right center field, and Billy read this ball really well. He never slowed down at second base.
So first and third for Jose Guillen. On base twice last night with a single and a walk. Slider is away, ball 1. At the knees, 1 ball, 1 strike. Guillen thought maybe that was a little low.
Well, I tell you, if he throws it down there all night, the Royals going to have a tough time. That's a pitcher's pitch right at the knees.
So far it appears, and it's only the bottom of the first inning, that Ron Kolpa has a pitcher-friendly strike zone, which isn't so bad if you got a couple of guys on the mound with ERAs in the 5s, 6s, or 7s, but you got 2 pitchers tonight in Greinke and Scherzer, who you figure don't need any additional help.
Well, no, the way he ran that fastball in on Jose Guillen right there, his 2-seamer, 4-seamer's 97, 2-seamer's got to be around 93, and that ball really jumps into a right-handed hitter.
Hit hard, fair, up the line. The Royals have one home. Jacobs to third, and Dave Owens going to hold him there. Guillen has a 2-out RBI double.
Here's the pitch here. They want to get it on the outside corner, and he got it up. And Jose just went with the pitch right inside the bag at first base, right over the bag. And Mike Jacobs kept going hard. You know, Billy scores right there, and Jose Guillen all the way from home plate to second base.
So the legs are feeling better. We've seen him run some balls down in right field. And now a double to put 2 runners in scoring position for Tien, who has hit an 8 straight. And he's after the first pitch and doesn't get a fastball at 96. 3 hits and a double for Tien last night. Batting in the 8th position for the first time all year. And he was saying after the game that he gave Trey Hillman a bad time about that. So he moves up to number 6 tonight. Or maybe that was Mark's way of getting back at the manager. Well, tongue in cheek for batting him 8th.
I think he'll take the hits.
Sure.
Well, you know, you gotta earn your stripes. You know, if you get in a spot and hit, I don't think Trey's going to move you out of that spot. But you know, when you're done hitting, he'll figure out a way to put you in a position where he can get some hits, and he'll leave you there. But you know, Mark, the way he's been swinging the bat, you have to think he's a hot hitter right now. The way he's been hitting the ball up the middle, and even had a pull home run to right center field, something he hadn't done all year.
That's what we want tonight.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be the happiest guy in KC to see you catch a home run ball. I mean, we're not close enough to reach over the fence and interfere, but
broadcaster interference. How do you score broadcaster interference?
I don't know. It might just decide to escort one of us off out of the ballpark.
I mean, look at how close we are. I mean, it's hanging right over the right field wall.
Oh man, you have to clear everything off this table to get there, though.
Scherzer underhands to Weitzel, and that's the inning. So with 2 outs and nobody on, the Royals rally for a run. The guy with the 8 gold gloves.
Now, if you guys happen to leave it rolling around on the floor, I'll pick it up.
Gerardo Parra, 1-1. Zach in the first inning got the first 2 outs, and then Upton hit a squib double up the right field line, but Greinke came back to strike out Reynolds. 2-1 on Parra. 0 for 4, a couple of strikeouts against Gil Mesh last night. Into center. Mitch is there. One down. Well, so far it's been another good year for the Royals in interleague play. Here's tonight's Toyota League leaders, brought to you by our Kansas City area Toyota dealers. And since 2005, here are the best interleague records and winning percentages. And what do those 5 teams have in common? They're all from the American League. The AL has dominated since 2005. Last year, the American League won 46 more games than the National League head-to-head, and this year they've won 11 more games.
Well, 11 more games is 55 to 44, so that's pretty good.
Royals got healthy against the National League last year, went 13-5. Chris Young with one out. 1 ball, 1 strike. 0 for 3, dropping his average to 186, and I'm sure he doesn't feel comfortable in the box right now. Against Zach last year in Phoenix, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. He did not go. Dale Scott, the crew chief and first base umpire. Full count. Chris Young last year signed a 6-year contract extension with the Diamondbacks after a phenomenal rookie year in 07. And he takes a walk. So Zach jumps ahead 1-2, but lets Young get away. Runner at first with 1 out in the 2nd inning. Saturday afternoons were made for baseball. This week, Fox bring you the national game of the week, and it's here in Kansas City. The Royals against the Cardinals in the I-70 series, and that's at 3 p.m. Central on Fox. Cardinals taking 2 out of 3 a few weeks ago in St. Louis. Chris Young with 10 stolen bases. Miguel Montero at the plate. We mentioned last night, even though the Diamondbacks have had a disappointing year offensively, they will run. And run successfully. They have the 2nd most stolen bases in the National League, and against a guy like Greinke, you really can't sit back and say, well, we'll just play for the big inning.
Well, they really can't afford to. They've got the speed, and AJ Hinch is going to figure out ways to use it, whether it be straight stealing or hitting and running. But when you got 2 pitchers locked into a duel, then you got to do something to try to break it. So you got to get some runners moving, get some defensive guys out of position, and take advantage that way.
Right center field, and Guillen has it roll under his glove. Meyer has to back him up. Chris Young is going to be held at 3rd base. So Meyer hustling over to back up Guillen. That prevents a run. So 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. But we know that Zach gets even tougher when the opposition has runners in scoring position.
Well, one thing Zach's doing right now, he's a little up in the zone. He's a little up higher than he wants to be, and on the inside, he's not quite getting it there. The route that Jose took, the ball just beat him to that spot and got under his glove. And as all good outfielders should do, Mitch Meyer did a great job backing this play up. Well, I'd say it would have been a run and then maybe a triple for the hitter.
So 2nd and 3rd for Chris Snyder, who's hitting .220. And a slider for strike 1. Not in there last night. Montero did the catching, and Eric Burns was the designated hitter. Former 2nd round pick of the Diamondbacks back in 2002 out of the University of Houston. One ball, 1 strike. The league hitting .187 against Zach in situations like this.
When you talk about confidence, that will definitely give you that confidence. And Zach's he's just got good stuff. I mean, he's got the kind of stuff that can can really shut down rallies.
Well, this will get one runner home. So Chris Young tags on the sac fly from Snyder, and the Diamondbacks tie the game in the second inning. Snyder's 21st RBI of the year.
Oliva wants his ball down, but Zach right now is having a hard time getting the ball down. He's keeping it up. And Snyder was able to drive it to right center field deep enough to score the run from third base.
And now the number 9 hitter, first baseman Josh Weitzel. A little low. Weitzel not in the game last night. He was the Diamondbacks minor league player of the year last year, picked up on waivers 2 off seasons ago, and then went to AAA and hit 26 home runs and had 110 RBIs. Pickoff play second base, and Bloomquist did a nice job of keeping that ball in front of him.
Well, normally when Willie's going to use a daylight play here, and Zach's going to spin, but it looked like he didn't really put a lot on that throw. He just tried to aim it back to second base and just drove it right down in the ground. So when he spun, maybe he didn't see that gap between Willie and the base runner that he needed to see, and maybe try to hold up on that throw.
To Billy, to the bag. Diamondbacks tie it. Call it presented by Sprint as Scherzer goes back to work in the bottom of the second inning. Going to ask you, where is your favorite spot to watch at New Kauffman Stadium? 1-1 to Callaspo, the Party Porch, Rival Sports Bar, the Dugout Suites, or the Outfield GA, the new Outfield GA. Text 432-432. Enter keyword Royals, followed by a space and your selection. Standard text rates apply, and we will update often during tonight's game. Maybe we'll even vote after spending some time out here on the porch. It's 3-1 on Callaspo. A hit and an RBI against his former team last night. Close pitch, good ball 4. Leadoff man on, and now Olivo. Well, Joel, you've been roaming this stadium all season. How about your favorite spot?
I like the TV booth.
Ah, okay.
And Jamie likes the TV booth, and Matt McClain here likes the TV booth. So does Ron Swan. Let me tell you something. This is nice. I'm just going to kick my legs up here and back to you out there in right field.
How's the AC in there tonight?
Got the fan blowing right on Jamie. He's got the mini fan.
Well, we'd have to worry.
See, look at this. He's got the little mini fan, which matches the red in my Hawaiian shirt, which I know Frank likes. It's all good up here, guys.
Well, the one game that you get to sit in the booth and we're out where you are, it's 90 degrees. But that's all right.
That's okay.
Got our Hawaiian shirts on. They allowed us to wear shorts today, tennis shoes.
It's getting better all the time.
We're out with Joel's element. Here we are. Straightaway right field. Now, Frank's got a fan. That's bigger than Jamie's fan.
Yeah,
hey, my fan's bigger than yours. We got all kinds of fans going on out here. Oh, 2 on Miguel Olivo. 0 for 4 last night, but had an RBI.
Because it's nice that we can switch places with Joel for a change. You don't have to say, where's Joel? You know exactly where he is tonight.
3 pitches, down he goes. Scherzer strikes out his second. So a walk and a strikeout in the second inning. And up comes Mitch Meyer.
You know, I think Scherzer had one of the tightest sliders I've seen all year. I mean, it just breaks late, and it really looks more like a fastball right till the very last minute. It doesn't have as much down to it as the slider that Zach throws.
Mitch last night appeared in the game as a pinch runner and then finished the game on defense in center field. Cleveland has the Seagulls. We have the Doves. Callaspo runs and Meyer fouls it away. Well, I guess the Royals could think about the same approach that we suggested the Diamondbacks might have against Greinke, and figure you're not going to sit back for the big inning. You might have to be aggressive on the base pass.
Well, you got to get something going. If you sit there and do nothing, and that they plays right into both pitchers' hands, you got to try to get some defensive guys out of position and open up the game for yourself.
Mitch into shallow center, and that drops. Callaspo round second, but holds. So 2 on, 1 out in the second inning.
Scherzer gets his ball in on Mitch, and he's just strong enough to get it out of there, but he really brought his hands in and really kind of cut this ball, Ryan, and just served it out over shortstop, but he definitely got inside on it.
So 2 on for DeJesus, who led off the bottom of the first with a solid line out to left. Now second time through the order, so the Royals have a better feel for Scherzer's stuff. Shallow left, and Parra up there to make the catch. So a good pitch by Scherzer. He had DeJesus reaching and out over his front foot, and that's the second out. Once again, tonight's question on You Call It, presented by Sprint, your favorite spot to watch Royals baseball at the New K. Party Porch, where we are tonight. Rival Sports Bar right behind us, the Dugout Suites, or the new outfield general admission. Bloomquist took a called third strike his first time up. Royals got a 2-out double from Guillen in the first inning. And the rally started after 2 were down and nobody on. Among the 5 hits last night, or the 5 runs last night, and the 5-0 victory, David DeJesus and Mark Teahan coming up with 2-out RBIs. In the air left center, and again Parra. And the Royals strand 2 in the second inning. It's a 1-1 tie at Kauffman Stadium. To the nation's fastest 3G network, AT&T, your world delivered. And we're joined here in the third inning, out in the Pepsi Party porch, by Zach Hampel, who has written a bestseller book on how, well, you know, it is, isn't it?
Which one? I've written 2 books.
Well, the
new one.
The How to Catch a Foul Ball.
How to Snag Major League Baseball.
How to snag, but I mean the premise of it is whether it's a foul ball or batting practice or during the game a home run ball, you have secrets for every way to get one.
A lot of them, yeah.
Here's the cover of the ball, and what, 4,000 balls?
I've now gotten 13 today. I had 12 when they interviewed me during the pregame show. I got Coach Glenn Sherlock on Arizona to toss one up down the left field foul line. So if you count those 13, then my lifetime total is 4,066.
And I saw here's one of the techniques that you use, but I saw a picture of you in a bathtub surrounded by all of your baseballs.
That's actually how I bathe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that baseballs work so well with personal hygiene, but they do, huh?
Kind of,
okay.
Yeah. But I have snagged over 4,000 balls in 46 different Major League stadiums.
Okay, so
going back to 1990.
What is a technique that most fans should be aware of? That's no swing, by the way, so it's 3-2 on Felipe Lopez.
One great way to get baseballs is to get the players to toss you balls. Players love to toss balls into the crowds, and they prefer to toss them to little kids and pretty women. And since I'm neither, I've had to develop quite a few tricks to get around that. So one thing that I do is I own a hat and a shirt of all 30 Major League teams, and I'm always switching back and forth. There might have been some footage of me wearing a D-backs shirt and a Royals shirt. Forgive me, everybody in Kansas City, but that's just kind of one of the ways that I try to get baseballs. And I can also ask for ball in over 30 different languages. I ask the farm players in their native languages, and I get a lot of ball.
30 different languages?
Yeah.
Wow.
Spanish I use a lot. I think that's a foul ball right there. Dame la bola, por favor, in Spanish.
Okay, what's the most obscure language that you know of the 30?
Maybe Swahili.
Okay, and how do you say it?
Ni tupia mpira tafadhali.
Okay. Okay,
that's a pretty good one.
That's outstanding.
There are no Swahili players in Major League Baseball.
But just in case.
Yet.
Right.
But
and
I'm
you'll
prepared.
be the first guy, and you've got to get a ball.
Oh, yeah.
If you can speak that.
I use Japanese a lot, too. Choto, boro nagete kudasai.
Okay.
And I've used Korean a few times, Kong Jaseo. And I used French once for a coach on the Montreal Expos. I said, Lancez-moi la balle, s'il vous plaît.
Zach strikes out his second tonight. So 1 down in the 3rd inning.
And even used sign language to get a ball a couple times from Curtis Pride. Remember him?
I do remember Curtis Pride, yeah, legally deaf.
95% hearing impaired. Absolutely.
Now, you were a former college third baseman. I read up on your career. And
it was a brief college career, but I did officially play college ball.
Okay, but so you have some athletic skills. Okay, now, but this is someone who's been around baseball a lot, knows how to handle a baseball. So I don't see the fascination since you've been around the ball diamond, but where did the fascination begin, where you wanted to snag baseballs in Major League parks?
Long before I even went to my first game, I was watching on TV, and I'd see balls fly into the crowd, and I'd see fans just going nuts to get their hands on them.
Callaspo throws out Stephen Drew, so 2 down in the 3rd inning.
And I just basically wanted that to be me one day, and it took me 6 years of going to games before I got my first ball, and even that was during batting practice. And I'm kind of obsessive by nature, which is kind of why I try to stay away from alcohol and those things. But, instead, my problem lies with chasing baseballs.
But what do you do with the balls?
I give away a lot of balls to kids, and I just keep the rest, hopefully, for someday when I have kids, and I love owning them myself.
Do you get those? Do you get them autographed or all that?
Not usually. Okay. I just try to keep them in their original condition. And I'm doing a whole thing with charity this season, where I've been getting people to pledge just a little bit of money for every ball that I snag. And that money is helping a charity called Pitch In for Baseball, which provides equipment to needy kids all over the world. So I average 8 balls a game. So I'm usually raising a couple $100 every time I go out to a ball game.
So, and you just keep a little log about, who gave you the ball and where you got the ball.
Exactly. I get a lot of balls hit as well. I don't just beg the players. I've gotten 129 game balls. I caught the last Mets home run ever hit at Shea Stadium. I caught Barry Bonds' 724th career home run.
Were you in a kayak?
I have never been in a kayak.
Okay.
But I did come up with a little device to pull balls out of the water by
Really?
the fountains here. I got 6 of those the last couple days.
Now, did you happen to major in engineering? I mean, you've come up with some pretty...
No, I was just an English major. But I always wonder, what if I devoted all this energy to the stock market? I probably wouldn't be as fun, but I might be able to sit in the fancy seats every game.
Well, we also want to talk about, I said best-selling book. I wanted to start with the first one, How to Snag Baseballs. But you also have a book out, How to Watch Baseball Smarter, which really got our producer, Kevin Schenk, thinking, because that's his goal every night on our broadcast, is to not just show the game, but also explain the game. And we want to talk to you about that in the next half inning, as Zach has a 1-2-3 third with a couple of strikeouts.
Awesome.
passed away this past year, opened their Lenexa home to more than 100 foster children in our area. And the couple who made the decision to adopt 7 of the children demonstrated commitment and love for the community to each of the children they invited into their lives. And tonight she's enjoying the Royals and the Diamondbacks. So welcome, Janet. And we're visiting with Zach Hampel, author of 2 very interesting and unique sports books. We talked about snagging baseballs, which was what, the 2nd best-selling sports book last year? Is that correct?
Watching Baseball Smarter, the new book.
That was the
year it came out a couple of years ago. It was the 8th best-selling sports book that year.
Okay.
And you know how
I got to get my facts straight. I was trying to pump you up. See, when I say second, you got to say yeah, because then people are going to be well, if it's second best, I got to go get that book.
Well, I'm from New York, so I'm honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how that works.
That's not how I saw it. That's not how us in the Midwest see you guys. That's not true.
I'm here to change that perspective.
Okay, watching baseball smarter. Why did you come up with that idea?
Because back when I used to live with my parents, we'd watch big games together on TV, and they would ask me so many questions about the game. And you can't watch a game.
Billy into center field with a leadoff single, so he's on base twice.
You know, when your dad asks you for the 17th time, well, what exactly does slugging percentage mean? You can't watch a game that way. So I just knew all the questions that they were asking. What's with the patterns in the outfield grass? And come on, why do guys grab their crutches all the time? And why are umpires so fat? And how did you know he was going to throw a curveball? You know, I just figured, I got to shut them up. In a friendly way, of course. And I figured there were just a ton of other people out there who probably had the same questions. So I wanted to come up with a book that would answer all this stuff and provide history and strategy and anecdotes and just help them understand and appreciate the sport better and have a few laughs in the process.
All right, let's get back to the book we talked about first, about snagging baseballs in big league ballparks. How does Kauffman Stadium rank against other big league ballparks if you come out for batting practice or you're just kind of roaming the ballpark during the game? Is it accessible for someone like you who wants to get a ball?
This place is outstanding. I want to move to Kansas City. If there's anyone out there who wants to adopt me, go to my site, send me an email. We'll work out the details, trade a few baseballs for the room and board. But seriously, this place is amazing. It was not that great as a ball hawk before the renovations because there were no seats in the outfield. There was no room to run and chase balls. But now it's just gorgeous. You have a lot of standing room only in right field, which is key. I mean, the odds of a ball being hit right to you are pretty slim. So you want to have some range, especially some lateral range, so you can run back and forth.
Diamondbacks were shifted over to the right, and that's a good play by Lopez to get the force on Butler. So Jacobs is at first with 1 out, and Jose Guillen coming up.
And left field is pretty sweet, too. There's a nice walkway right behind those 4 rows of seats out in left field, which allows some room to run, and there's even the waterfalls behind that. Balls land in there, so if you can come up with a little device to fish balls out of the water, you can get some that way. And even right behind the bullpens a few rows back, there's a nice wide cross aisle in case someone jacks one down the line. And that aisle extends all the way around the ballpark.
Guillen is 2 for 2 as he singles to center. So 2 on, 1 out.
You never want to be trapped in the middle of a long row of fans. You got to be able to jump up and move. And if you're sitting on a staircase, or better yet, an aisle where you can run back and forth, you greatly improve your chances. And like I said, there's an aisle that runs all the way around the stadium. So this place is just great.
Do you ever fight for baseballs? I mean, where you got a ball and the other guy's got a ball? How do you guys resolve that? Because you're a ball hawk, so they're probably not as big a ball hawk as you are. So how do you guys?
Right. Only one time in my life did I grab a baseball off the ground at the exact instant that someone else did, and we flipped a coin for it. But usually someone will get it a fraction of a second sooner. I always avoid physical contact with other fans. I have never knocked down a single fan in my life. I've been knocked down. You have to understand that sometimes it gets a little bit physical when there is a historic home run ball hit, or if you go to Yankee Stadium and the worst player on the team even tosses one into the crowd in BP, it's going to get physical because that's how people are there. So sometimes there's just going to be
they're honest, but they're rough.
Yes, exactly.
You ever lose any balls where you've got the ball and there's a kid standing a little bit away and the fans start chanting, "Give it to the kid, give it to the kid"?
Oh, sure, that's happened, but I don't see it as losing baseballs. I voluntarily give balls away.
And you count those on the list?
I do. I actually did not used to count them. I only counted what I took home, but I realized, because other ball hawks do it the same way, that the count should really be reflected by how many you actually get in your possession. So what happens to the ball after that is not as important, but I am a collector and I do like to own them.
Now, Zach, this is earlier in the inning. This is Billy Butler with a foul ball and a Diamondbacks fan handing it over to a Royals fan. Now, that doesn't happen in New York. No chance if the Royals are in New York that a Yankee fan gets a foul ball and gives it to a Royals fan.
No, because the Royals fan would probably get punched in the face and then ejected by security. You do not want to wear opposing teams' gear in New York, especially Yankee Stadium. But pretty much everywhere else in the country, people are cool about it. I happen to have my D-back stuff on late in the game. Yesterday, I was trying to get a ball from the bullpen after the game, and I think the worst thing that happened was some guy saw the shirt and the D-backs were losing 5-0, and he just said, the Diamondbacks, they stink. And, okay, well, they kind of do, and I'm not even a D-backs fan, so fine. But it actually can get physical sometimes in New York wearing that stuff, but it's worth it.
All right, now, your books are doing well. Is that financing your travel? This is an expensive hobby that you have. I mean, once you get to the ballpark, you've got your shorts on and your T-shirt and your glove, which it looks like you've had for a while, but getting from city to city, that's not inexpensive.
Listen, I've spent more on bottled water tonight than I've spent on tickets for the last 2 games combined. So that can be a pretty big expense. I usually buy the cheapest seats in the stadium and then try to maneuver. I don't want to encourage people to break rules, but like I said, there are standing room only sections.
Out at second, but no double play. So Guillen's cut down, Jacobs to third, and runners at the corners with 2 down.
So there are places where you can go no matter where your ticket is. And I was at a game at Camden Yards a few weeks back. There were like 4 rain delays that added up to like almost 3 hours. They actually put a message on the Jumbotron that said, "We invite all fans to come down and take a seat on the lower seating level." So you don't have to buy a seat in the front row to be in a good spot. And oftentimes, the seats in the front row don't get the most balls hit to them. Those balls will fly well back into the crowd. But as far as the airfare and the hotels, I do have a few people looking out for me who sometimes pick up the cost. Sometimes my publisher will help me out. I have a friend who's paid for a trip or 2 here and there. And I usually stay in cheap hotels and fly cheaply and eat cheaply. So that's how I do it.
Upton comes up in right field. Zach Hampel, How to Snag Major League Baseballs and Watching Baseball Smarter. 2 good books, and thank you for spending some time with us. Hope you enjoy Kansas City.
It's been great. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Royals baseball brought to you tonight by Panera Bread. Explore a menu full of hearty soups, hand-tossed salads, inventive sandwiches, and savory breakfast items. Panera Bread, where every detail matters. So tied at 1. Diamondbacks coming up in the 4th inning. Mark Reynolds takes a curve for a strike. Zach struck him out in the 1st inning. Diamondbacks run coming in the 2nd on a sac fly from Chris Snyder. The Royals run in the 1st. Jose Guillen with a double that brought Billy Butler to the plate. And now it's 0-2 on Reynolds, who has struck out already a major league leading 91 times this year. And Zach gets him again. So 4 strikeouts, 2 against Reynolds. The RB's pitch by pitch takes us back to the 1st inning when Zach got him for the first time.
Well, when you're a strikeout guy, you're going to get teased on the outside corner. And Zach has 2 fastballs, and he drops in a changeup, another fastball. And he's just going to keep pounding them away, because when you have a lot of strikeouts, you got a long swing, and they're going to stay away from you and have you chase. And you got to chase a good hard slider for a strikeout. Yeah, they're going back that last inning. Lopez and Stephen Drew made some really nice plays in that inning against the Royals. Lopez going to his left, and they were getting force outs at second base, but they were definitely killing Royal rallies with those plays.
Two and one on Gerardo Parra, out in a fly ball to center in the 2nd inning. Into right field. 1 on 1 out in the 4th. Well, you can teach kids about value and about baseball this summer when they're out for school. Thursday nights at Kauffman Stadium are $3 youth nights. You'll get 3 view-level infield tickets for kids 14 and under with every regularly priced ticket purchased for the same game at the box office. So 1 regularly priced ticket, and you'll get 3 $3 tickets. So bring the kids out. Another great deal at New Kauffman Stadium this year. Chris Young walked with 1 out in the 2nd inning and scored the Diamondbacks run on the Snyder sac fly. Two and 0. A couple of years ago, Chris Young became the first rookie in Major League history to have more than 30 home runs and more than 25 stolen bases in his rookie year. Didn't quite have a 30-30 season, but close to it. And as I mentioned, when he came up in the 2nd inning, the very next year he got a 6-year contract extension with the Diamondbacks. No swing, but, or I was going to say no called strike, but there's the swing. Dale Scott pumping the right fist. It's 2 and 1. The Roadrunner Turbo Speed Pitch comparison. And there you go, 97 for Greinke, 97 for Scherzer for the first 3 innings. You can double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable. Three and 1 on Chris Young. Zach doesn't quite have his pinpoint control with the fastball tonight.
Yeah, usually it's been up probably more than he liked, and when he was supposed to be inside, he didn't quite get it in as much as he wants. But it's pretty obvious that he wants to try to pitch to the outside corner. Yeah, it's pretty similar to how Gil Mesh was pitching last night, and he just. And that's just right on the outside corner. If he stayed right there, I don't think they'll get a hit. I mean, that's a ball that's hard to keep fair, and the best thing you do is foul off and hope Zach makes a mistake on the next pitch.
Parra runs, and ball 4. So 2 walks given up by Zach in less than 4 innings. A 2 on 1 out. Tonight's Firestone leaderboard: home ERA. Justin Verlander below 1. He's the only one in the American League who has more strikeouts than Zach this year. And Zach third at 1.37 at Kauffman Stadium. Two walks tonight given up by Zach, but only 18 all season, and this is his 14th start. One 1-0 on Miguel Montero. Zach going against the trend of some of the other Royals in the rotation, where he has pitched better here at Kauffman Stadium. Most of the Royals in the rotation have pitched better away from Kauffman Stadium this year. Well, you mesh one of them. He won his first game at New Kauffman Stadium last night.
Well, you'd think as big as this ballpark is, everybody would love to pitch in this ballpark, and just maybe you can make a mistake and get away with a fly ball and a ball up in the zone here. So more pitchers should have more confidence pitching in this ballpark.
Zach struck out Reynolds to open the inning, but a single from Parra and a walk to Young. And now Montero, who has excellent opposite field power, but he pulls it to the right side. Jose Guillen's throw is low and offline and rolls past Greinke and off the backstop, and that's going to move runners up to second and third, and the Royals are just throwing the ball all over the place. So 2-0 Arizona. Montero drives in his 8th of the year.
Jose again had a hard time getting this ball out of his glove, and he probably should have held up on this throw, but he went ahead and threw it, and it got under Miguel Olivo. And even though Zach Greinke's back there backing it up, they say he got by Zach, and Zach probably should have held the ball. He shouldn't have tried to make the throw that he tried to make. Yeah, you see where he's in good shape there, but he didn't get a good grip on the exchange, and he probably should have held up on the throw. And Zach got back there like he's supposed to, but this throw right here, he probably should have just held on to, because that throwing off the wrong foot like that, trying to throw the ball out to second base, that's a good way to hurt your arm.
What was Cookie Rojas' advice to you?
Well, when you learn when to do something and when not to do something, then you'll be a pretty good player. You know, you just really hate to see in this situation like this, the game sped up a little bit, and everybody sped up with it, and nobody really had the calm to say, look, let's shut this down, keep things like they are, and they just kept throwing the ball around.
And now Snyder, who batted in the exact same situation back in the second inning. Runners at second and third and one out, and his sacrifice fly scored Chris Young, and now Young is at third base again. Zach jumps ahead 0-1. An air charge to Jose Guillen on that throw, allowing Montero to move up to second base, and that eliminates a chance for a ground ball and a double play. Tien's going to come to the plate, and the throw gets away from Olivo. So another offline throw. Now the Diamondbacks are going to get a second run. Heads up base running by Montero. Four to 1 Arizona in the fourth inning.
Well, this is the type of defense the Royals haven't been playing of late, and that's why they've got a 4-game winning streak coming into the ninth game. But right now it just seems like they're not able to make the good throws. That ball was down. Oliva probably should have caught this ball, but you're trying to secure the ball before you try to tag. And you really see how far Zach had to come to try to make this play, from the mound all the way to the backstop. And this is a good throw down like you want it, because you figure out with a guy going, it might be a collision at the plate, so you want to have the ball down for the catcher. And Zach goes all the way from the mound all the way behind the plate to try to make that play.
Well, that error is going to be charged to Miguel Olivo, so it's a fielder's choice for Snyder. 1 RBI for Snyder, allowing Young to score, and then Montero coming around on the error by Olivo. So 2 errors in the inning. And the Diamondbacks with a 3-run lead. And now Josh Weitzel grounded out to Billy Butler in the second inning. No balls, 2 strikes. Three pitches, down he goes, and that's number 5 for Zach. So 3 runs on 2 hits. And anytime there's more runs than hits, you figure there's a negative statistic or 2 also in that inning.
Well, you got those errors. Those errors really give the opposition 90 feet, and every time you give them 90 feet, it costs you runs. And at the end of the year, you ask yourself, how do we either win or lose so many one-run games? Preferably on the loss side, then this is how. You just not throwing to the wrong base, not making the plays every 90 feet. Then you got a chance to score a run.
0-2 now on Lopez.
And you also, Ryan, you have to wonder how much is this inning going to take out of Zach. I mean, he went backed up Jose Guillen's throw that got by Olivo, and he had to chase that ball around and try to make an awkward throw to second. Then on Tien's throw that got by Olivo, he had to sprint from the mound to the backstop to try to make that play. So that's a lot of work for a pitcher.
And it's 90 degrees, so what is a 21 pitch inning for Zach so far? It might feel more like a 31 pitch inning. He went around on the hard biting slider, but the Diamondbacks score 3. It's also an Independence Honda Buck Night with dollar specials on hot dogs, peanuts, small Pepsis, and game day magazines. That's July the 3rd. As Miguel Olivo fouls the first pitch away. Max Scherzer on the mound, and his coach at MU is standing by with Joe Goldberg.
Yeah, joined right now by Coach Tim Jameson from Mizzou, and a chance to see one of your former pitchers. How much fun is it to get a chance now to see him in person, and how often do you keep in touch?
Well, we text and talk every now and then, but it's awesome to watch him pitch and see him in a big league uniform.
How different now at this level? He always had that fastball, but what's different about him?
I think just the secondary pitches are getting better, but he looks like the same guy. He looks the same size and same mechanics and same poise on the mound. He's just playing with big boys now.
You were telling me, as play made there on Miguel Olivo, that the texts you'll get from him aren't so much about pitching.
No, he still believes he should have hit at Missouri, and he's probably right. But the only time he contacts me is when he gets a hit.
All right, we need to ask you while we still have you. Mizzou has had so much success with guys now in the big leagues, and the Royals' first-round pick in the draft here this month, Aaron Crow. Tell us about him. What can the Royals expect from him, hoping that they sign him? What kind of pitcher are they getting?
Well, I think they got a guy that's going to be in the big leagues pretty quick, assuming that he signs quickly. He's got great stuff. The thing that sets him apart, though, he's a great competitor. And he's going to love playing for the Royals. He's been a Royals fan his whole life.
How does he differ from the stuff that Max had as Mitch Meyer up the middle for a single? How does his stuff differ from Scherzer's at the college level?
Max's velocity's a little bit better, but Aaron's got a little more movement on his fastball, and he's got a better slider than what Max is still working on. Their changeups are very similar, but they're both great athletes and great competitors.
I know that he may or may not tell you he is going to sign or he's not going to sign, but do you feel pretty good about him ending up here with the Royals?
Yeah, I do, for a variety of reasons, but I think the main thing is he's ready to start his professional career, and I know he couldn't pick a better spot to do it.
And finally, we were down in Texas right after Ian Kinsler had hit for the cycle. What are your memories of Ian at Mizzou, and how much fun is it to see what he's doing at the big league level, one of the best in the business?
Ian's only year at our place was the first year of our 7-year run in the regionals, and he has a lot of reasons why we got going. He had a great year for us and made it very quickly to the big leagues, like Max and like I think Aaron will do as well.
Well, Coach, congratulations on all the success, and seeing these guys like Max up here. I'll let you go hang out with some of these KU fans now.
No comment.
No comment, of course, as you would expect. Very proud head coach and doing a nice job bringing some of these players up to the next level. Guys, back up to you.
Obviously doing a great job recruiting. Now, Max Scherzer is from the St. Louis area, and Aaron Crow from the Topeka area, Ian Kinsler from Arizona. But in the case of Scherzer and Crow, it's one thing that they're close to MU, driving distance obviously, but when you're that good, you're getting offers from all over the country, and Tim Jameson finding a way to get those guys to go play for the Tigers.
Well, I tell you, if Crow has as good a slider as Scherzer, then I'm excited, because I think Scherzer has an outstanding slider.
That's one way for a pitcher to injure himself. Maybe a more seasoned pitcher might continue with the throw. And Scherzer is not very happy about time being called, but maybe that'll stir him up enough where he gets out of his game and walks to Jesus, and we got a big inning going.
Well, that's true, and I tell you what, that is tough on the pitcher. Once he makes his mind to throw, he's ready to throw, and he's got to shut everything down. A lot of times the pitcher coach will tell him, just go ahead and throw the ball, just don't let it go as hard as you want it, let it go.
Well, he can get as mad as he wants at DeJesus if it was DeJesus who was asking for time, but that's a case where if you're mad at anyone, it's the umpire, because it's not the hitter who asks for time or calls for time, and the hitter just asks for it, the umpire gives it.
Well, the umpire's got to use some discretion there, and if David feels like he's holding the ball too long, the umpire feels that way, then they'll call timeout and give it to the hitter, but they really can't see inside the pitcher's head when he really wants to throw the ball.
David is lined to left, fly to left. Meyer is singled with one out. Mitch is 2 for 2 tonight. Royals about hit the Diamondbacks 6-4, but trail by 3. Meyer's running, and DeJesus grounds it to first, and Arizona will get just the one out. Weitzel at the bag. So Meyer in scoring position for Willie Bloomquist.
Yeah, Mitch usually gets good jumps, and he got a real good jump here, and maybe 5 feet more to the right. They got a first and third situation. Got something working.
And he peeked in at home plate.
I tell you, you can see some funny stuff happen when guys don't peek in.
Willie has struck out, fly to left. And Willie into right field, well hit, but Justin Upton makes the play, and that's the inning. Royals strand Meyer at second base, and they've left 7 on base. Here on the right field side in the Pepsi party porch, Ryan Lefebvre with Frank White, and we've had a little bit of action out in front of us, but not much yet so far. But hey, I got your back.
Well, they just haven't came close enough. You know, there's been some base hits to right field, but the right field has been going toward home plate and not back this way. So we're waiting for him to come back this way because I want to see you do that little glove tap on your right leg before you catch him. That's always a confident move. You know, 2 taps on the thigh. There it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. 1 pitch, 1 out as Zach gets Stephen Drew on a ground out. Here's the James B. Nutter pitch count for Zach so far tonight at 73. 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. He has given up 4 runs, but 2 of the runs unearned. Errors in the 4th inning by Guillen and Olivo. Ball 1 to Justin Upton, doubled in the 1st, struck out in the 3rd. First overall pick in the draft in 2005. And with the 2nd pick overall in the draft in 2005, the Royals selected
2005
out of the University of Nebraska.
Oh, Alex, my guy.
Alex Gordon, yep. Willie and Callaspo running out into shallow center, but it drops. Upton holds with a single.
Well, it seems like Alex has been gone a long time. You know, you do miss not having him on the field, and when a guy's away from the team, and you look around, and every now and then you say, you know, where's Alex? You know, because you know that this was a big year that everybody was looking for him to have a big year this year, and supposed to be his breakout year. So you just hate to see a guy gets hurt and gets slowed down by injury.
Well, we had John Buck in the booth last night, another Royal who was on the shelf. And he did an outstanding job last night helping us out. And perfect timing with Gil Mesh throwing a shutout. But I thought it was interesting. And you hear this from time to time when players are hurt for an extended period of time, that stepping away from the game and seeing it from a different angle, watching it on television when the team's on the road, watching it from the dugout when the team is home, you can pick things up about the game that you can use when you come back from the disabled list.
I know John made that statement when we got back from Cleveland. That was the first thing he said. I had fun watching the game on TV because I had a chance to really kind of sit there and think and set pictures up in his head. And last night he gave us some great tips, you know, on what he thinks about in certain situations, and it was very educational to me.
Maybe that's the silver lining for Alex, who I'm sure hasn't been sideline since T-ball. I'm sure he was in every single game and didn't really have a chance to sit and watch the game. So maybe that can be something that can be taken as a positive when he gets back out in the field.
Well, we hope so. And, you know, I think he's just like any athlete that really wants to compete. He can't hardly wait to get back. And he's probably doing everything he can to speed that up. But, you know, you got to take your time. He's still a long way to go in his career, and he wants to be as healthy as he can. And I'm sure we'll see him again before this year is out. But, you know, like I say, your health is number one, and then everything else kind of comes after that.
Mark Reynolds down 1-2. Zach has already struck him out twice. And Upton with a little jab step towards second before getting back. Reynolds last year led the league, led the majors in 2 categories you'd rather not lead the majors: strikeouts and errors. It was the first time since 1950 that a major league player had done that. Roy Smalley, not that Roy Smalley. Apparently there was another Roy Smalley who played for the Cubs in the late 40s, early 50s. You're talking about 58 years. And he has struck out for the 3rd time tonight and the 93rd time this year, and that's 7 for Zach.
Well, Zach is throwing a real hard slider right here, and he got a little bit of the plate, and Reynolds just not really seeing this ball. That's twice in a row he struck out on the same pitch, and really when you strike out a lot, Brian, that means that you're a guy that really has a hard time making adjustments.
Gerardo Parra singled with 1 out in the 4th inning. Seemed harmless at the time, but a walk followed A single with an error, a fielder's choice, and another error, and the Diamondbacks turn that into 3 runs, 2 of them unearned. Parra's 1 for 2. 2 balls and no strikes. Can't top the thrill that Parra had back in May, hitting a home run in his first major league at bat. Hit it off of Cincinnati's Johnny Cueto, who the Royals beat on Sunday afternoon. And where do you go from there? And all that dreaming that you do of making it to the big leagues, you finally make it, and in your first at bat, you go deep.
Well, baseball is a game of dreams, and sometimes you sit there and you dream about hitting home runs in the World Series and home runs in the All-Star game, and every time you reenact the play, it's always bases loaded, 3-2, game on the line in the 9th, and you try to hit a home run. So sometimes those things work out for you.
Yeah, who knows how many times he's dreamed up that scenario in his head. Something that has become popular, or more popular, and this began in the late 80s, early 90s, but visualization, and players visualizing, spending some time before the game, visualizing in their mind what might happen. So if it does, they're prepared for it. As Willie comes to the infield grass and throws out Parra, and that's the inning. Vantage point for us with the fans, and this is really a great spot. We've been speculating all season about how good a spot this would be, and it really is.
Ryan, this is outstanding to be behind. I mean, you watch the game from behind. We normally in front, and everything is going away from us. Now everything is coming toward us, and that's pretty exciting. I know we watch the monitor and look up. When you're upstairs, everything kind of goes away, and you pick the ball up right away. Here, you watch the monitor, look up, you're not quite sure where the ball is. So it takes a little bit more time to figure out what's going on.
On the right side, Lopez calling off Weitzel. So 1 down in the 5th, and this is our view from right field. So you got Justin Upton is about 20-25 yards in front of us, and you can see right here, here's the top of the fence. So we're just reaching out over our table. If we wanted to, we could have broadcaster interference.
I'm hoping for that. I want you to get that.
Okay.
Because you'll be a star forever.
You'll pay my fine?
It won't be a fine. You'll be a star forever, believe me. Because it'll be the Diamondbacks that hit the ball. How neat would that be, though?
I'm ready. I got the glove.
Ryan Lefebvre has a flashback to center field.
1-1 on Jacobs, singled in the first inning, reached on a fielder's choice in the third. .96 below the knees, 2-1. Royals have had their chances against Scherzer tonight, but they have left 7 runners on base in 4 innings. In towards the right field corner and just inside the line, and now Upton having a tough time running it down. Jacobs is going to take off for 3. That's the second time in the last 2 games that Upton has had some problems in right field. Runner at third, 1 out.
You know, the one thing about the corners here is the corners are round, and when the corners are round, it's kind of hard to tell what this ball is going to do. And if you're not familiar with this ballpark, you can get caught in a little turnaround here. Here the ball goes up, it hits the wall, he turns back to his right, then the ball gets by him again with the spin on the ball, and by that time Mike Jacobs is going into third base.
So far it's just been ruled a triple for Jacobs. Thought it might be a double and an error, but no error on the scoreboard yet. That's another triple for the Royals, who have a 10 triple lead over the next closest team. 2 fast teams there, by the way, the Angels and the Rays. And now Guillen, who rolls it to third, and Reynolds' play is to first. So the Royals get a run. Guillen has driven in both runs, and it's a 2-run game. And let's update You Call It, presented by Sprint. 47% who have been to New Kauffman Stadium vote for the Party Porch as a new favorite spot, followed by the new outfield GA. Rival Sports Bar, only 8%. I think if you go to Rival Sports Bar in the middle of the game, I don't think watching the game is your #1 priority.
I think that's the party area. I think they get really fired up, and they just can't wait for the post-game show. They can't wait for Joel to get there. Joel's got his fan club out here. We're in Joel's land out here.
A lot of security in Joel's land. Tien 0 for 2, 2 ground outs. Reno. Four-pitch walk. Scherzer has walked his third. And like most young hard throwers, at times is going to have problems with his control, and now he's going to hear from pitching coach Metals Stottlemyre Jr., who looks a lot like his dad, by the way. Alberto Callaspo coming up. Inc. College Nights offer $7 lower level seats to high school and college students with a valid student ID every Wednesday, so they're here tonight. July 1st is also a happy hour with concession specials in the outfield experience, where we are tonight. For tickets, 1-800-6-ROYALS, Royals.com, the Kauffman Stadium box offices, or area Hy-Vee food stores. And Bob Melvin was fired on May the 7th. His pitching coach Brian Price resigned. Mel Stottlemyre Jr. coming up from the minor leagues to take that position. His father, a successful major league pitcher and pitching coach, most notably with the Yankees, and then finished up with the Mariners. And Mel's older brother Todd was a successful big league pitcher. Callaspo sends it into the seats off to the left field side. Alberto has walked and flied to right.
Now, Ron, I actually got my first major, not my first major league hit, but my first hit in old Yankee Stadium was off of Mel Stottlemyre. It was a broken bat, single in between third and short.
And I'm sure got a standing ovation from the Yankee fans. Tien's running, and Callaspo fouls it away again. Well, we're going to go to new Yankee Stadium this year. That's the second to last series that the Royals have. Aspo lays off a tough pitch. It's 1-2. Aspo playing against his former team, but not his original team. He came up to the Angels organization, traded to Arizona before traded to the Royals, traded to the Diamondbacks for a pitcher by the name of Jason Bolger. And for years, and I'm sure you saw some of this when you were at Wichita, you saw when the Angels figured that Alberto Callaspo and Eric Ibar were going to be the middle of their infield for many years to come.
Well, they both played together, and they played well together, and that team went on to win the championship. And then Howie Kendrick came along and it kind of changed some minds in that direction, because he's a very fine hitter also.
Aspo and Ibar played together for 4 years, and then going to the Diamondbacks, and of course 2 off seasons ago coming to the Royals for Billy Buckner, who was taken in the same draft as Billy Butler, and I remember how confusing that was.
Yeah, well, Billy Buckner pitched for me too, and I really liked him. I like his curve.
Billy Butler with 2. Now Callaspo trying to come back.
We will say tonight, not experts at it. They don't have to be, though, as much as us.
Looks very good. His slider looks very good. But tonight, I don't think the command, for the most part, I think he's made some mistakes tonight. Diamondbacks have got 5 hits. And they haven't hit the ball hard, per se. But I would say he's probably, if he had to grade himself, he would probably grade himself out at about a C- tonight.
And that's usually the grade that you respect the most. That's a foul ball, and off the foot of Montero. Levo tried to talk himself into, and the home plate umpire, into a hit. And you saw Scherzer a moment ago talking things over. His pitching coach, Mel Stottlemyre Jr.
Well, they need another inning out of Max, at least another inning.
That pitch is high. Miguel Montero, when he needed a big night, has had a nice night, there's no doubt. He doubled. He singled in a run. He scored a run.
On the aggressive base running, too. I like that. Oh, boy, slide. This slider's pretty good, isn't it, Darren?
Well, you're right. It hasn't been a night that has been pieced together, but you can feel the greatness all night from his work.
When you can consistently get that slider right on the back foot of that left-handed hitter, you are going to be special. And he is special. 2 earned runs tonight. Should be 3.
Yes, they are not going to credit Chris Snyder with an RBI on that play. There's been a conversation with the official scorer up above us. And the reason he said, as Snyder takes inside, he's asked to move his feet there, is if that ball was caught on the play at the plate, the play that Miguel Montero came around to score, he said if the ball was caught, it would have been an out.
Oh. Well,
1-1 the count. I'm going to try and dial it up here.
That official scorer is wrong.
That's just a tough assumption of an out there. I mean, a really tough assumption.
So Chris Snyder loses an RBI. Oh, there's another hanging slider, and Chris Snyder knew it.
There's the play we're talking about. Snyder hitting.
Okay, what do you guys think? Do you think if this tag is made, is he out? Tough to tell.
You could see on that angle he rushed the catcher's mitt to get to Snyder. He knew it was going to take a perfect play. That's what cost him the catch. Well, that's assuming that the game is really easy to play on a play like that. You're assuming an out here.
See, this angle shows that he's going to be safe because he never tagged him.
Bouncing ball, diving play, Tien fires it on across. And up above, the official score gives Tien an error there. And so Chris Snyder has a hit taken away.
I'm going to excuse myself and I'm going to go up and pay him a visit.
And smart Aleking, by the way. That's an infield hit.
And what a super play there by Tien down the line. The sprawling grab. And then I think if you get the pick on the other side, you're probably going to get the out. But Billy Butler couldn't come up with it. And Snyder's going to get a base hit.
Well, don't leave a crack in the door there. They'll give Butler an error.
Yeah. Well, my point is, if that's somebody on the Royals staff besides Zach Greinke, I guarantee you that wouldn't be the case.
No, then I'm really uncomfortable with what you're saying there.
That's what I'm saying.
Beyond uncomfortable.
That's what I'm saying.
The 0-1. So we think the world of what this kid has done, and we've enjoyed. It's been an honor to watch him work. Hasn't been his best of nights, but you respect what he's accomplished. But the two don't go hand in hand. Handing someone a gift doesn't go hand in hand with that. The 0-2. Boy, an awkward swing. That one is just out below us. And a good try there, Gracie. Almost had it.
I almost had it. Well, that was a survival swing there from Weitzel. That's how good that slider is. But you never know. He might make a mistake here, and Josh Weitzel, with the power he has, if he gets a mistake, he can really hurt you.
Oh, my goodness. The Diamondbacks may be leading 4-2, but they're always reminded all night long that they're facing Zach Greinke.
Levo 0 for 2 so far. Scherzer struck him out in the second, and that's the last strikeout that Scherzer has tonight. And Miggy grounded to short in the fourth. 1 ball, 1 strike. Just a little bit outside, 2-1. Scherzer right around 90 pitches. Greinke is over 100 in his 6 innings. It appears that the bullpen might have a much bigger role than it did last night.
You know, Ryan, it's one of those situations where, you know, when they come out, they got to come out ready to go. And you know, I think the good thing about having Joakim Sawyer back is that everybody gets back in their routine, and then when they can kind of sense when it's going to be their call, and they can really get their adrenaline going and get ready for that moment. And I think that's where having him back is just key to that bullpen.
Still 3-2. Miguel Olivo has walked twice this year. Scherzer strikes out his third, 1 down in the 6th. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Kansas City Royals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ball Ball one on Mitch Meyer. 2 singles so far tonight, both to center field. 2-0. Three balls, no strikes. In this Sonic Slam inning, we'll remind you that Mitch has not hit a major league home run yet. It's 3-1. Full count. Like Mitch was taking all the way on that 3-1.
Well, that's a situation where Mitch likes the ball in, Ryan, and if you get your pitch, you got to be ready to hit 3-1 right there. I don't think you can afford to give that pitch away.
To the left side, and Reynolds to the grass. Off balance and offline. So Meyer is at first with 1 out. We're going to call that an infield single for Mitch, so he's 3 for 3.
Mitch really gets his ball right off the end of the bat. Reynolds comes in and tries to make a great play on it and got the ball out over the first baseman's head. But you can see when we talked about that netting behind first base, it won't let the ball go down the line. It always throws the ball back to first base. Otherwise, Mitch would have ended up on second base.
So 1 on 1 out, and now David DeJesus, who is 0 for 3. It was not an easy play for Reynolds, but watching the replay, if he throws on target, Meyer is out at first base. A lot of times when a play like that is ruled an infield single, it's because the scorer believes that even if he did make an accurate throw, the runner would have been safe.
Well, that's true, and I think you get a better reading when the ball is actually caught, and then fast motion from upstairs, it might be a little tough to see, but you know, when it's you, the home team, you like to see your home team get those breaks.
0-2 on David. David is line to left, fly to left, grounded out to first base. Coming in with an 8-game hitting streak, he's lost 3 points on his batting average. Scherzer now up over 100 pitches, and they begin to stir in the Diamondbacks bullpen out in left field. Still 0-2. Well, the Pepsi Party Porch would be the equivalent at Chase Field in Arizona, that swimming pool area. And when the Royals were in Arizona last year, David DeJesus with a couple of home runs, 6 RBIs, and hit a grand slam into that pool. And we will gladly take a home run into the Pepsi Party Porch, which would tie the game at 4.
That'd be just outstanding. I want you to catch it, though. I think that's going to make it. That's going to be the thing.
Scott Schoenweiss begins to warm up in the pen. One ball, 2 strikes. Scherzer coming off the best start of his major league career on Thursday at San Francisco. He got the win against the Giants 2-1, 7 2/3 scoreless innings. Strike 3 called. 4 strikeouts for Scherzer, and DeJesus is 0 for 4. On Saturday, July the 4th, that'll feature an early game of 12:10, so you can enjoy a day of baseball and have your night free for Cookouts and fireworks. It's also the return of the halter top, the best all-time Royals promotion according to a fan vote. 10,000 ladies will receive this halter top, and 10,000 guys will get a classic ringer tee thanks to KMCI 38 The Spot. So Meyer at first, 2 down for Bloomquist, who lays down a bunt to the third base side, and an excellent bunt. And Scherzer probably shouldn't have made that throw. So Willie 1 for 4. Meyer to second, and 2 on for Billy Butler.
Well, it's just good to see someone come up and just show a little imagination, try to break the rhythm of what's going on with Max Scherzer. And Willie Bloomquist made an outstanding bunt down the third base line.
So 105 pitches for Max Scherzer. Remember, it's a hot and muggy night. Now, he grew up in St. Louis, so he's used to that. But still, I'm sure his body feels like he's thrown more than 105 pitches. And number 106 to Billy is pulled just foul. That may have tied the game.
You know, coming off the mound, filling those bunts too, Ryan. That'll take a lot out of a pitcher. Let's to the third base side and have to make an awkward throw back to first base.
Billy walked and scored the first run. Back in the first, singled in the third, popped out in the fourth. Meyer at second, Bloomquist at first. 1 ball, 1 strike. 99 with that last pitch, so maybe he doesn't feel like he's thrown more than 105. Chase a fastball up at 98, and it's 1-2. Billy has been good this year with runners in scoring position. His overall average is 286. With runners at second base or third base, 352.
Well, Ryan, Max Scherzer, when he drops that arm down to the side almost, he throws that ball at 98. It's almost like he's throwing it straight uphill, and it probably looks good out of his hand, but by the time it gets to Billy, it's well out of the strike zone.
Blows him away at 99 in the 6th inning. Royals strand 2 more, and that's 10 tonight in 6 innings against Scherzer. Him 106 this season. Jose Guillen has driven in both runs, but he had one of the errors in that 3-run fourth. So the Diamondbacks by 2 as we go to the 7th inning. And driven to right field off the bat of Lopez. Jose Guillen is there to make the play. So Zach already over 100 pitches. That helps his pitch count. 1 pitch, 1 out. Lopez is 0 for 4. Our next telecast in high definition is coming up tomorrow night. Final game of the series. Luke Kochaver coming off that 80-pitch complete game against the Reds. Dan Herron will pitch for Arizona. 7:10 first pitch. Royals live at 6:30. Brought to you in HD by Time Warner Cable, where HD is free with digital cable. It's 0-1 on Stephen Drew. He is 0 for 3. Stephen Drew last year, the first National League shortstop in history to have at least 40 doubles, 10 triples, and 20 home runs in a single season. It's been done in the American League 3 times. Robin Yount once, Nomar Garciaparra twice. That's hit hard to center field. Meyer all the way back, and he's going to play it off the wall. A 1-out double for Stephen Drew.
You know, Mitch does a real good job playing the wall. He's not afraid of the wall, but he did a good job recognizing that ball over his head and did a good job waiting for it and holding Drew to a double. If he goes back to the wall, the ball gets over his head and he hits the wall and hits the ground, now you're looking at a triple possible inside the park home run. So he did a real good job with his recognition on that particular ball.
And that brings us to Justin Upton, who has a 2-hit game against Greinke. Double in the first, single in the 5th. And with the pitches piling up, Trey Hillman has John Bale and Roman Colon warming up in the bullpen just to our left. And we can hear the pop of the gloves as they're warming up. Very high to right field and a long run for Guillen over near the tarp, and he catches up to it. So the legs feeling stronger, and we've been seeing it on this homestand.
Well, that's a long run for Jose, and he catches this ball easily and maintains his balance and keeps Drew from tagging and going to third base. But you see how far he ran, he checked where the top was, and just caught this ball easily and then made the adjustment to get the ball back into the infield.
So 2 down with Drew at second base for Mark Reynolds, who already has the hat trick tonight against Zach. And 93 stolen bases this year. He has a very odd combination of statistics. All of those strikeouts, and we mentioned the major league record last year. But how many guys can you think of who have led their league by such a wide margin in strikeouts, but at the same time is among the league leaders in stolen bases?
I don't think I know anybody like that.
1 ball, 1 strike.
I mean, he just got. If you watch his swing pattern, Ryan, you see how he just swings straight up in the air like that. And when you swing like that, your bat's only going to be in the strike zone just a very short period of time, and that's why he's having a hard time with the balls away, whether it be a fastball or breaking ball.
Two balls, 1 strike. So 112 now for Zach in 6 2/3 innings. Cayaspo made a move for second base behind Stephen Drew, but no throw. Two and two.
Yeah, even Reynolds, Ryan, even with all the strikeouts, his numbers are very respectable. 17 home runs, 45 RBI. I mean, he hit 282 going into the ninth game. So it's amazing how he can have that many strikeouts and still maintain a pretty good batting average.
But how much better could he be if he were to cut down his swing or make an adjustment and cut those strikeouts down by, say, a third?
Well, you figured last year almost 200 strikeouts last
204.
year. So you figure you take 100 of those away and you strike out 104 times, it makes a big difference in your season.
Well, they say he has enormous power, that he can hit the ball 450 feet, but in a lot of ballparks you only have to hit it 331.
The key is to put it in play consistently, and you'll help your team more times than not doing that.
And driven to deep left field. Meyer and DeJesus back, and Reynolds into the seat, so he didn't show off his enormous power, just enough to get it over the wall and give Arizona a 4-run lead in the 7th inning. So Arizona has tagged Zach Greinke for 6 in less than 7 innings, and Trey Hillman, with Parra coming in, is going to ask for lefty John Bale. Zach's ERA, by the way, goes to 1.96, so still under 2. His last win was on May the 26th against the Tigers. Ball one on Gerardo Parra, 1 for 3. Singled with 1 out in the 4th inning, and the Diamondbacks turned that into a 3-run inning. This was the inning the Royals were throwing the ball around and committed a couple of errors that led to 2 unearned runs. Oh. 2 balls, 1 strike. Well, the Royals bullpen should be rather fresh, with Luke Hochevar going 9 on Saturday, Brian Bannister 8 on Sunday, Gil Mesh 9 last night. They haven't had a lot of work. Meyer coasting back in center field, and that's the inning. So Bale gets Parra, but the Diamondbacks add 2. This is Scott Schoenweiss taking over for the Diamondbacks as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning, and suffered a huge tragedy when his wife Gabrielle passed away suddenly on May the 20th. He went on the restricted list and finally returned to the Diamondbacks during the last homestand and had this to say after returning.
I think my wife would want me to play as well, and you know, my son is getting to the age where he's into it as well, so you know, he understands that he wants Daddy to be a baseball player too. So you know, it's no matter what day or when, it's not going to be an easy thing, or it won't be the same. But you know, I got to take care of my family, and this is what I do, and this is what I know how, and so you know, it's time to go back.
Wow, Frank, I can't think of a player who is, you've been around the game longer than I have, who have had to come back from something like that in the middle of a season and somehow pull it together and be an effective pitcher again, and retire the only 2 batters that he faced on the 13th against the Astros. He gets Mike Jacobs on 1 pitch.
Well, Ryan, I think he said it best. Is this is not going to be easy. And I can't. You know, it's one of those things you can't even imagine. You know, unless you're going through it yourself. But it's, at some point you decide, you know, is it time to go back? Is it good for me to go back? Is it good therapy for me to be back? And I'm sure he had to weigh all those options before he decided to come back.
Well, certainly this is the biggest mountain he's had to climb as a baseball player. But even going back to his days in college when he was pitching at Duke, he is a cancer survivor. He had to overcome Tommy John surgery, but nothing compares to losing a spouse in the middle of the baseball season. He has 3 children. Maybe not only for himself but for his family, that they can turn their attention to him, at least for now, on the baseball field, as opposed to the terrible loss that they've had.
And I'm sure he's getting a lot of good family support, and you have to have that in this game because you're on the move so much, and this is when family means the most at times like these.
Sean Weiss in his first year with the Diamondbacks. He has been in the big leagues since '99, coming up through the Angels system. Former third-round selection out of Duke in '96. He's pitched for the Angels. He's pitched for the White Sox, the Blue Jays, the Reds, most recently the Mets in '07 and '08, and now in Arizona. Facing Jose Guillen, who has driven in both of the Royals' runs so far tonight, with a double in the first inning and a ground out in the fifth. Mark Reynolds, who just hit a 2-run home run for the Diamondbacks, is out, and Augie Ojeda takes over at third. So a 4-run lead with 9 outs to go on defense, and A.J. Hinch going with a defensive switch. Get some better gloves on the field. A.J. Arroyo in 2001, 2002. It's 3-2 on Jose Guillen. A.J., a former high-round pick of the Oakland A's out of Stanford, and he was part of the Johnny Damon trade. When Johnny went to the A's, the Royals getting Angel Baroa and A.J. Hinch from the A's, Roberto Hernandez from the Rays in a 3-team deal. Still 3-2 on Guillen. It was believed for a long time that A.J. Hinch had a future in baseball management, but it was believed that it would be in the front office, that he was being groomed to maybe be a general manager someday, and he was the Diamondbacks farm director. But then Josh Burns, the current GM, shocked the baseball world and hired him to replace Bob Melvin. Guillen drives it deep but foul again off to the left field side.
Well, we don't have any minor league experience in managing. I think it's just one of those things where you're the farm director, who knows your players better than you, and he probably felt that maybe some players weren't they weren't getting the best out of certain players, and since he knew those guys, he knew that development plan coming through the minor leagues, maybe they felt he would be the best guy to turn these guys around.
Another foul ball.
But there's nothing really hurts worse than having a player go out and have a great year and then reward him with a multi-year deal the following year, and then the next year he just comes out and doesn't play well. I mean, that just doesn't look good at all.
Another foul ball. Well, it was more the relationships that you talked about with the players that led to Hinch getting the manager's job, and figured that he would learn and adapt to the X's and O's part of it, borrowing a basketball and football term, but that maybe the relationship, as you said, with the younger players would bring out the best in them and worry about the double switches and all that stuff down the road.
Well, you hope your bench coach will help you with that. I mean, running the game is probably the last thing that he would probably worry about, but just basically the day-to-day routine of running a Major League ball club.
Let's go around the league, brought to you by Panera Bread. White Sox over the Cubs, Brewers over the Indians, and St. Louis leading Detroit. So all the teams in the American League Central so far have either lost or trailing. Royals could come back, and if St. Louis could hang on, Royals could be 3.5 back in the Central Division. You're down by 4 in the bottom of the 7th. 1-on-1 out for Tien, who drives it to the opposite field. But Parra is there to make the catch. So Guillen back to first and 2 down. Tien is 0 for 3 with a walk. And Pittsburgh in front of Minnesota. So it's been a bad night so far for the American League Central. The Angels beating the Giants. Baltimore in front of the Mets. And Schoenweiss with Alberto Callaspo coming up is out, and A.J. Hinch will make a change. It'll be John Roush. Against John Graybo, and then Joe Creedy grounded out, so it's still 4-2 Pittsburgh in the 7th. And here is the tallest pitcher in Major League history, 6'11", John Roush.
Now you really can say he's throwing downhill when he throws downhill.
Roush has 2 historical distinctions. In addition to being the tallest in Major League history, he is one of just 2 pitchers in Major League history to have a home run against Roger Clemens. And he gets Callaspo on a fly out to center field, and that's the inning. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. 6-2 Arizona, and it's the 8th inning. After Gil Mesh's shutout last night, 5-0, and Zach Greinke on the mound tonight. Thought it might be an easier night for the Royals with the Diamondbacks struggling, but taking advantage of a couple of Royals errors. 2-run home run from Mark Reynolds, and he's kind of picking away at Zach. Scored 6 in 6 2/3 against Greinke. John Bale got the final out of the 7th inning, and now he stays on to face Chris Young, Miguel Montero, and Chris Snyder. Young has scored twice. Greinke walked only 2 in 6 2/3, but both times against Chris Young, and both times he came around to score.
You almost get the feeling, Ryan, that Zach really never got into a rhythm, a good rhythm where he could just carry it, 3 or 4 innings. It seemed like there's always somebody on base one way or another, and then the 2 earned runs definitely hurt, but it just seemed like he just didn't have that good, either from that good rhythm that he normally has when he's just going right through the lineup.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Arizona with 1 in the 2nd, 3 in the 4th, 2 in the 7th. And Chris Young walks for the 3rd time tonight. Here's a wide view of the Pepsi Party porch where Frank and I are enjoying the game tonight. And I guess we figured it would be a little more rowdy, a little noisier out here tonight, but maybe that has something to do with the Royals down by 4.
Well, you got to score runs to get the crowd into the game, and I think that's really the thing tonight. It just looked like Zach never really got into his rhythm, and then throwing the ball around didn't make the team look any better in that 1 inning when he gave up 2 unearned runs either. But I just think that fans are creatures of habit. You do something good on the field, they're going to react to it, and if nothing's going on the field, then they're going to sit back and enjoy the evening.
And with the new Kauffman Stadium, there are more areas to sit back and enjoy the evening, and has cooled off quite a bit after getting into the mid-90s in Kansas City earlier today. There were some storms, some very heavy storms to the north. We did not get any rain here, but we did get a colder front moving through, so more comfortable than it was earlier today. And Montero drives it out our way, but short of the warning track. Guillen makes the play. Young was tagging but holds after an excellent throw from Jose Guillen.
One of the things going into a catch like this, Ryan, you have to be anticipating that tag at first base, and Jose didn't hesitate. He caught the ball up over his head, which was great, and got the ball to his throwing hand and made a nice throw to second base.
So Bale is out with Snyder coming up, Ramon Colon in. Touch puts live baseball at your fingertips. You'll get play-by-play from game day, real-time box scores, video highlights, and even live game day audio. Visit Royals.com today on your iPhone or iPod Touch to download At Bat 2009. And here's Roman Colon on for the 7th time this year. Inherits a runner at first and 1 out. And facing Chris Snyder. Snyder with 2 RBIs tonight, with a sac fly and a fielder's choice. And a slider for strike 1 from Colon. Tomorrow night, Luke Hochevar against Dan Herron, who has become the Diamondbacks ace with Brandon Webb on the disabled list. Brandon Webb pitched in 1 game and then went on the DL with a right shoulder injury and hasn't returned. Royals thought that Young might take off from first base. 1-1 on Snyder. So a disappointing year for the Diamondbacks, but they've also had some key players go down with injuries. They signed former Royal Tom Gordon during the offseason to pitch out of the bullpen. He's been hurt all year. Max Scherzer, who started tonight, spent some time on the disabled list. Stephen Drew, their regular shortstop, was on the DL at the end of April, and that hurt the Diamondbacks while he was out. That's hit hard into right center field, and Meyer cuts it off deep. But Young will go first to third on a long single from Snyder.
Well, Mitch did a great job cutting this ball off and getting his body angled so he can do that turn and come right on top and make 1 hop throw back into second base to save a run. That ball gets by, then Young's going to score on this play. You can see right here, he really stays in good position here. He feels the ball, then he gets back on top, and then he makes a strong throw into second base.
And now Bob McClure out to talk to Colon before Josh Weitzel comes to the plate. And Weitzel's another player who's getting some time in the big leagues because of injuries. Chad Tracy on the DL right now. Connor Jackson on the disabled list. So on one hand, you look at the numbers and you can see why the Diamondbacks have had their problems this year. But what team does play well when you have key guys like that are on the shelf?
Well, you're asking guys who maybe aren't ready to do the things that those guys were doing for you to do them, and they just doesn't come as easy. And you do struggle. When you don't have offense, then it really doesn't matter what your pitching's like or your defense is like. You still got to score runs and make your team look good. But there's been some key injuries throughout the league this year, Ryan. I mean, look at Cleveland and their pitching and Sizemore, and almost every team has a key player or a key pitcher that's on the DL. You know, the Royals and Alex Gordon. You know, that's a big loss for this ball club. So everybody's got that, and you just try to in fishing terms, swimming terms, you just got to say just tread water until some of those guys get back, and then you can make some hay in the division. I know, talking to Eric Wedge, that's what he's hoping. His guys come back, they can take off, and I think every team that has injuries, they're hoping the same thing.
Joakim Soria, when he was on the disabled list, that really impacted the bullpen. Into left field, and now Arizona leads by 5. So Weitzel, a good-looking swing to drive home Chris Young. That run is charged to John Bale. Chris Young is without a hit so far tonight, but 3 walks, and each time he came around to score. And the old Little League rally cry, a walk's as good as a hit. And to the opposite field again. De Jesus plays it on a bounce. And Snyder, who doesn't run as well as Chris Young, is held up. And now they're loaded for Stephen Drew. And another pitching change. Drew, a left-hand batter. And Trey Hillman wants Ron Mayhay. Last night at Gilgamesh, and now Ron Mayhay takes over, and that's the 4th pitcher tonight. Greinke 6 2/3, Bale 2/3. Colon came on in the middle of this inning and allowed 3 singles, and now Ron Mayhay with the bases loaded and 1 out to face Stephen Drew. Strike 1 on Drew. 1 for 4, doubled his last time. That was in the 7th inning and scored on the Mark Reynolds home run that knocked Greinke out of the game.
You're right, Ryan, with the consistency of the starters, and then the off day on Monday, the bullpen is well rested, and even though Trey's doing the matchups here, it's a good opportunity to get some guys into the ballgame.
Hit hard up the right field side and fair. So again into the corner. 2 runners are home. Lopez is around third. Drew on his way to third. A 3-run triple, and Arizona leads 10-2. Stephen Drew drives in his 24th, 25th, and 26 runs of the year.
Well, Ronnie gets a fastball that just didn't do anything. They just stayed right there. It was up in the zone, and Drew got it in the corner. Jose did a good job playing this ball. He missed the first cutoff guy, but Billy's got to run up and catch this ball. He can't let this ball fall, and there's another ball that's rolling around the infield.
That's driven into right field. So it's 11-2 Arizona. Drew comes home on the Upton base hit, a 3-hit game for Upton. Well, when Trey Hillman was introduced as Royals manager, and we've gone over this 1,000 times, he said that the Royals would catch the ball. They would be a team that would play catch well, and even said himself, reiterating what you just said, that nothing good is happening when the ball is rolling around on the ground.
Well, everybody's got to remember what their responsibilities are. Even though the outfielder may miss that first cutoff man, the trail guy has to see that ball's up, and he's got to run up and keep that ball from hitting the ground. And Billy stayed back, and the ball got short hop with the ball, and the ball rolled all the way to home plate and allowed Drew to go to third base.
That's the second out of the inning. As Augie Ojeda, batting for the first time, flies out to the Jesus and left. So 2 down, and now Gerardo Parra. This is the 9th hitter in the inning. Who would have thought, with Zach Greinke on the mound tonight, that the Diamondbacks would score 11? But we pointed out at the beginning of the broadcast that in 2005, the Diamondbacks scored 11 with Zach on the mound, but miraculously the Royals won that game 12-11 in 10 innings. Tonight they have a long ways to go.
A long way to go, Ryan. And I think really when you look back at the game itself, it wasn't a real pretty game for the Royals defensively, and I think that what manager Trey Hillman would probably be most disappointed about tonight was the fact that the ball was rolling around the infield and the outfield, and your pitcher's got to leave the mound and go all the way behind the catcher and retrieve a throw, and that's just things that really don't happen in the game. And Zach might be the only pitcher that I know of that would have tried to make that play.
Called third strike. Parra's down. Inning over, but Diamondbacks bat 9 and score 5. Dan Herron and Luke Hochaber and all that coming up on Boulevard Royals Live, brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City's beer. 6'11" John Roush, who recorded the final out of the 7th inning, stays on for the 8th. And Luis Hernandez is going to bat for Miguel Olivo. Olivo 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts against Scherzer. This is a mismatch as far as size goes. Not quite the great picture that they have here at Kauffman Stadium. Royals president Dan Glass has this picture in his office of Frank Howard playing at first base for the Washington Senators, and at Old Municipal Stadium, Freddie Patek, the base runner, at first. That might have been the biggest mismatch in baseball history, Major League Baseball
That's
history.
a great picture, Ryan. I agree with you on that one. Frank was a great guy, but he was a big guy. 6'9" versus what, probably 5'3", maybe.
I'll let you speculate on that one.
Why?
Because you played with him. When a guy isn't known for his height, you got to be careful when you announce his height, because if you miss by an inch or two, you can be in that guy's doghouse.
Well,
kind of like
you would
running well for a catcher.
You would be in his doghouse. I probably wouldn't.
That's what I'm saying. You speculate.
Running well for a catcher.
It's the same thing. You just got to be careful.
But if you made that statement, running well for a catcher, there would only probably be one or two guys, catchers, that would probably take offense to that statement. You would be absolutely right about everybody else. I mean, that's where the phrase comes from. I mean,
I'm not the first one to use it. Mitch Meyer, 3 for 3, 3 singles. The Royals have 9 hits and 7 in the third innings, but they have left 11 on base. The Diamondbacks have 13 hits. They've only stranded 6, so they've made the most of their opportunities and come up with 11 runs. That ball is down behind the tarp with Ken Harvey. .93 over the inside corner. So 2 down in the 8th inning. Roush has retired all 3 he has faced. And Meyer down for the first time tonight. And now David DeJesus, who is 0 for 4, is out, and Tug Hewlett will bat for him. Tug called up from AAA Omaha when Coco Crisp was placed on the disabled list. Second time he has been called up to the big league club this year. So DeJesus, going hitless tonight, loses his 8-game hitting streak. Martin is hitless so far. He had an 8-game hitting streak, and Alberto Callaspo is hitless so far. He had a 9-game hitting streak. And Roush may have injured himself with that last pitch. Pointing towards the mound, so he may have slipped or caught his spikes with his lead foot.
Yeah, he waved the trainer off, so that's always a good sign. You know, a body that big starts falling out of control. You never know what's going on, but when the trainer and A.J. Hinch started out of the dugout, he waved them back in, so that was a good sign.
Max Scherzer, 6 innings, gave up 2 runs. Scott Schoenweis, 2/3 scoreless. And now Roush. And a curveball is pulled to Lopez at second base. And the Royals go down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 8th. Royals baseball brought to you tonight by Thoroughbred Ford. Want a great deal on a new F-150 at Thoroughbred Ford? We'll make it happen. The crowd is thinned out quite a bit. Unfortunately, it's been a tough night for the Royals. The big crowd was on hand with Zach Greinke against Max Scherzer. Royals will use their 5th pitcher tonight with Kyle Farnsworth coming on for the 9th. Other changes for the Royals as Farnsworth is on for the 24th time this year. Doug Hewlett will play in left field. He was a pinch hitter for De Jesus in the bottom of the 8th. And Luis Hernandez, who hit for Miguel Olivo, is at short, and Brian Pena takes over behind the plate. And Chris Young, who is 0 for 1 with 4 plate appearances, 3 walks and 3 runs scored. Farnsworth showed up at the ballpark yesterday with an odd injury. You may have read about this, but a couple of his American bulldogs, his pet bulldogs, got into a fight, and he tried to get in between the 2 of them and break them up, and was accidentally bit on his left hand and had to have 4 stitches. So that hand is bandaged up. That's his glove hand, not his throwing hand.
Well, that had to be a traumatic experience right there. I don't think that's something I want to do. I'd just probably get a bucket of water and just throw it on him and hope that'll do the trick.
Great play by Hernandez, but Chris Young is a fast runner and beats that out for an infield single. Similar play that Hernandez made on Sunday afternoon, and then shortly after that was out of the game.
Well, Hernandez really made a great play on there. But Young being a fast runner, that's going to be a tough play for any shortstop once you leave your feet to get a fast runner at first base.
And Miguel Montero hits a smash past Butler. And in a 9-run game, Young isn't going to rub it in, so he holds at second. And 2 on, nobody out. So Montero has a 3-hit game. And the Diamondbacks have 15. So 2 on, nobody out. The other batter is catcher Chris Snyder. Farnsworth at 96 for strike 1. One ball, 1 strike. Snyder with a couple of hits and 2 runs driven in tonight. Came into the game as a .220 hitter. Well, we've said it over and over again going back to last night. It's been a disappointing season for the Diamondbacks at the plate. 2nd from the bottom in team batting average. 3rd from the bottom in on-base percentage. 10th in the league in runs scored, which is a surprise because of some of the hitters they have in their lineup, and we've seen a glimpse of that tonight.
Well, they've been getting the hits, Ryan, and we opened the door a little bit, but they have put the ball on the bat on the ball tonight, and I think, like you say, you can't have the type of talent that they had last year coming into this season and not be able to hit, and sooner or later that talent's going to come out. Some of that talent is on the disabled list, as we talked about last inning.
And that talent getting used to their new manager, A.J. Hinch. A couple of new coaches, a new batting coach, Jack Howell, a new pitching coach, Mel Stottlemyre Jr.
You think going to this game with Max Scherzer and Zach Greinke, you're probably looking at a low-scoring game. You're probably looking at a 3-2 game, 2-1 game. And I read what A.J. Hinch says, well, you got a great pitching matchup, which usually means there's going to be a lot of runs scored. So how right he was on that.
That's the way the game works out sometimes. And we've seen the reverse, too. A couple of guys with a 7 ERA, and the final score is 2-1. Tien will go down to second base. Callaspo with a quick turn, and it gets away from Butler, and that's going to cost another run. There have been several times this year where Alberto Callaspo has made a throw on a play that simply wasn't there. And it seems like a meaningless run here as it goes from a 9-run game to a 10-run game. But trying to quickly turn a double play on Snyder, who doesn't run well, but still would have beaten it out.
Well, that's when you got to realize that what stage of the game you're in, what the score. You don't. Yeah, there was virtually no weight shift there. They just turned it with no weight shift, and that's what drove the ball down in the ground. But that's just a play where Tien's coming in like that. You just got to eat the ball, just get the one out, and call it a day.
Well, here's some good news. The Royals trailing the Tigers in the Central. That's Ryan Franklin striking out Curtis Granderson, and the Cardinals beating the Tigers 4-3. The Royals will remain 4.5 back in the Central Division. So there you go, Frank. Doesn't that make you feel better?
What a year. You know, it's really nice to be 4.5 games back going into this game. I mean, and at this juncture of the season and everything that's gone on with the winning streaks, the losing streaks, it's really nice to see where you are. But you're still below 500, and what you don't want your guys to do is keep looking at the paper every day that you lose and say, oh, we didn't lose any ground. But you got to think of it the other way. You didn't gain any either. So you have to turn that around and take advantage of the opportunity that's right there, and not say, yeah, we didn't play good, but you know, we're only 4.5 games out. You just want to say, look, we only 4.5 games out. If we play good, then we can be in first place. So you can't let that 4.5 fool you, because it surely will.
Cleveland and Milwaukee are tied at 8. They're going into the 11th inning. Cleveland was ahead by 4 going into the bottom of the 9th, and the Brewers scored 4. Josh Weitzel has a run scored and an RBI tonight. Let me correct myself. I said that backwards. It was Milwaukee who looked like they were cruising to an 8-4 win over the Indians, but it was Cleveland that scored 4 in the bottom of the 9th, so they go to the 11th. Former Royal Jeff Suppan started that game for the Brewers tonight. And Farnsworth walks Weitzel first and second, and only 1 out in the 9th inning. And this is Ryan Roberts, who's going to bat for Felipe Lopez. Lopez was 1 for 5 with a run scored. Last night it was the other way around. It was the Royals doing everything on defense, offense, on the mound. And it was the Diamondbacks throwing the ball around. They committed 3 errors. 0-2 on Ryan Roberts. Got him looking. 96 with a fastball. That's the second out of the ninth. One of the few bright spots tonight for the Royals. They have struck out 11, 9 from Greinke. But then again, they're going up against a team that in the last 2 years has been second in the major leagues with hitter strikeouts. And 0-1 on Stephen Drew. A double, a triple, 3 runs driven in, 2 runs scored. Well, they have good young hitters in the lineup, Frank, and they are really the impact hitters. If you go back to last year, when the Royals were in Phoenix and they took 2 out of 3 from the Diamondbacks, and last night's game, Stephen Drew, Justin Upton, and Mark Reynolds, 4 out of 44 with only 2 runs scored. The Royals won 3 of those 4 games. Tonight, those 3 guys, 5 for 11 with 5 runs scored, 3 RBIs, and they lead by 10.
Well, when the middle of your order is hitting, you're going to score runs. And we talked most of the season about getting the Royals middle of the order hitting with men on base. And the leadoff guy is walking, he's getting on base, and the guys behind him are hitting with him on base. And I think that's you look at Young, 3 runs scored, 3 walks. I mean that's unbelievable.
It's an offense that has great power potential, great speed, second in the league in stolen bases, but just lacking the consistency when you're second from the bottom in team batting average. Just not getting enough hits.
But not getting enough hits, and strikeouts are a big reason. When you have someone in the middle of your order that strikes out a lot, sometimes as much as they can give you a rally, it can also kill rallies too.
Farnsworth gets a strikeout and punches out 2 in the ninth, but the Diamondbacks add a run. Well, the Diamondbacks batted for Felipe Lopez and Juan Gutierrez, and a pitch out of the bullpen. Blomquist, Butler, and Jacobs coming up here in the ninth. Max Scherzer, 6 innings, gave up 2 runs and was still throwing in the upper 90s when he was finishing up the Royals in the 6th inning, 110 pitches. And the last man that he faced was Billy Butler and was still throwing 96, 97 when he struck out Billy, but ran out of pitches. Scott Schoenweiss, 2/3 scoreless. John Roush, an inning and a third. And now Gutierrez. I said Bloomquist was going to lead off. It's Brian Pena. Bloomquist was 1 for 4 with a bunt single. And a play off to the third base side. One and one to Brian Pena, who has gone to the old school double flap batting helmet.
That is a lot easier when you're a switch hitter to do that. You don't have to carry around 2 helmets, and if they're going to make a pitching change, you're already there. And I think it's a smart idea to do that.
Trying to think of guys who do that in the big leagues now. Shin-Soo Choo in Cleveland. Of course, he only bats left-handed. I think Orlando Hudson, former Diamondbacks player, is the same way. That's off the glove of Weitzel into shallow right. Pena will hold with a single. Orlando Hudson, a switch hitter, now playing for the Dodgers, has the double flap helmet. And those are the things that you talk about in a 10-run game in the bottom of the 9th. Let's do a new sprint, you call it. How many double flap batting helmet guys can you name?
Can I go back in today?
That used to be one of the kind of trivia questions, or at least something to ponder. The rare players in the big leagues, as Butler squirts one through on the right side. Billy's second hit tonight, 3rd time on base. How many guys can you name the rare left-handed thrower, right-handed batter? Aside from producer Kevin Shank, that was a given. Everyone knows that one.
I wanted Morneau. He'd be a right-handed thrower, left-handed batter.
Other way around. Left-handed thrower, right-handed batter. There aren't many of those. And I can name a few only because I've done this one before. Ricky Henderson is one.
Oh, you're going way back.
Yeah. David McCarty, who played for the Royals, was one.
So it's not very many.
An outfielder for the Atlanta Braves and other teams for a while, Brian Hunter. Remember him?
Center fielder.
Mike Jacobs, 2 hits, including a triple, his first of the year, and has scored one of the runs. These things Denny and I would come up with in games like this. Denny sometimes would come up out of the blue and say, how would you like a trivia question? There's ball 4, and they're loaded up against Gutierrez with nobody out. And by the way, Denny has a new book out. His 3rd published book. It's called Hi Anybody. What I love about the game of baseball and what I would change. And he's going to be at a book signing tomorrow morning at the Hy-Vee at State Line and 124th in Leawood. He'll be there from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So come on out, say hi to Denny, and get a copy of his new book. I'm going to tell you two things. I haven't read the book, but I'm going to tell you two things that he would change about the game: the strike zone and the time of game.
How would you change the time of game?
I don't know. But I'm going to read the book. I'll bet he has a plan. Although his plan, those two might be connected. You expand the strike zone and you have quicker games.
You have a lot of mad people, too.
2 hits, 2 RBIs for Jose Guillen. You know, he and I used to talk about that quite a bit, and we both agreed that when you have a little bigger strike zone, you have more people upset at the home plate umpire than when you have a tiny strike zone. It always seems like the pitches that aren't called strikes are the ones where you've got managers yelling from the dugouts, pitchers frustrated with the umpire. But borderline pitches that aren't called strikes, it's almost like the managers say to themselves, well, okay, we'll take that, because if he's using that same strike zone when our pitcher's on the mound, we'll take it. Do you agree with that?
Well, I'm trying to digest it all. There's a lot going on in that. I think you got mad people either way.
Guillen is going to drive in another run. So it's 12-3, still nobody out. So Pena with the leadoff single comes home on Guillen's 3rd RBI of the night. To Cleveland, J.J. Hardy with a sacrifice fly to center field. Prince Fielder had walked to load up the bases, or Prince Fielder actually coming home on the sacrifice fly. So in the top of the 11th inning, it's 9-8 Cleveland. Cleveland, like they were going to lose that game, but scored 4 in the bottom of the 8th to take that game into extra innings.
You know, when you say expanding the strike zone, it depends on how far outside and how far inside.
Well, let's just say not a ridiculous strike zone that's big, but just one where, you know, the umpire is going to give the pitchers the benefit of the doubt as opposed to squeezing the pitchers.
So you're talking maybe one ball off the outside, one ball on the inside.
Yeah. It always seems like, at least, you know, Denny and I felt this way, and this is not a scientific experiment or anything, but just in our opinion, that a little bigger strike zone is going to result in less grief for the home plate umpire than a tight strike zone.
Well, I agree with that. I think that it depends on how much the players complain. If the guy at the plate complains, you're going to get the same argument from the manager.
Royals should get another run here. Well, Butler is going to hold. Wow, look at that throw. Gerardo Parra showing off his arm. Of course, we have a little different angle where we are down the Pepsi party porch, and when he made that catch, it's a little more shallow than it looked. And in a 9-run game, no reason for Butler to challenge Parra's arm, but Parra had a chance to show off his arm.
Well, he did. And last night he had an opportunity to have a play at the plate, and the ball got cut, and the catcher Montero just showed his disgust by the ball being cut. So he must do this on a regular basis. But he did a good job getting behind the ball, and that's what third base coaches look for when they try to decide whether they want to try to score a run or not.
Down to center field for Chris Young. Butler will tag this time as the throw goes to third base, so it's 12-4. Iasco drives in his 26th. We were talking to Joe Carter, who lives here in Kansas City, the World Series hero for the Blue Jays at 93, and I ran that by him, and he said, as a hitter, if you know the strike zone is a little bigger, you know, you don't love it, but you go up there thinking, okay, I'm going to have to swing the bat. And then when you're on defense, you love to see that strike zone that's a little bigger.
Well, I mean, that's true. I was just thinking that it just depends on the player. Even though the ball's a ball off the plate in or out, if the players complain, then I think the umpire's going to get the same argument from the manager that if he had a tight strike zone. I think it's just all about the players. If you got players that go up there swinging the bat, not complaining, it's going to be a quick game, and the manager's not going to say a word. But there's always one or two guys, you know, that's known for having a good eye, so they're going to really squeeze it into a tight little package, and those are the guys that the managers are going to stick with because they know they see the ball pretty good out of the pitcher's hand.
Luis Hernandez grounded out to first his first time up. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. I'm thinking of a veteran guy who's used to having the strike zone go his way, and maybe is used to having some umpires give him the benefit of the doubt.
And umpires know that too. They know the guys who have the good eye, and I think Wade Boggs was one of those guys, and you know the guys like Rock Carew was one of those guys. So if you know the guy's got a pretty good eye, the umpires usually know too. And you remember when Frank Thomas first came up, so. It's just one of those deals where I think it just depends on the player. But for the majority, I think you're right.
An 8-run home run would tie it. Three balls, 2 strikes. Well, Gutierrez has a lot to work with in this bottom of the 9th inning, but I don't think A.J. Hinch is very happy with this performance. 3 hits, a walk, and now 3-2 on Hernandez. And Hernandez slices it into left field. The Royals are going to get another run as Jacobs comes home from second base. And it's a 3-run bottom of the 9th.
I think the hardest thing with a team is just never thinking you got enough runs, never thinking you can win an easy game. You can't close this game out. If it's a 1-run game, you never get comfortable. And Hernandez does a great job going down and really staying inside of this ball and steering it into left center field.
And now Meyer hits it a mile in the air to the right field side and will land in the seats. Royals with 1 in the first. They actually led this game 1-0. 1 in the 5th and now 3 in the 9th. Changeup grabs the inside corner, and it's 0-2 to Mitch.
The games like these, Ryan, when the defense has been out here all night, they're trying to get off the field, and they have an inning like this. This is when you start watching body language, and guys start leaning to one side, standing on one leg, saying, let's get this thing over with.
Especially if tomorrow was a day game and you have a quick turnaround. But it will be a night game. The Royals will stay home and play the weekend series against the Cardinals. Arizona will fly to Seattle. That's a long flight, but they pick up 2 hours. Myers swings and misses. With 2 outs, the Diamondbacks have to get the final out, and they do, and the ball game is over. So it's a shaky 9th inning for Gutierrez. He has to face 8 to close out the Royals in the 9th. The Royals come up with 3. But Arizona wins it 12-5. So a tough night at Kauffman Stadium. The Royals' winning streak comes to an end at 4. And believe it or not, Frank, the Royals now are 2-6 in Zach Greinke's last 8 starts.
Well, when you say that, it's hard to believe based on how he's throwing. I just think that the run production for Zach had been going down in his last few starts, and this game tonight, it just didn't look like he got into the rhythm that he needed. 5 out of his 6 2/3 innings, there were men on base, and that's just not typical of one of Zach's good starts.
So the winner is Max Scherzer. He's 4-4. And Zach takes a loss. He is 8-3. Diamondbacks win it. It's time now for Boulevard Royals Live.
Brewing Company, Kansas City's beer.